Hey there, and welcome to our sports discussion panel. Judith from Admissions is chatting with our sports development officers, as well as two students who are attending Maynooth University via sports scholarships. Paul Davis is here to talk about participation in sport, alongside our sports scholars, who are going to tell you a little bit about how sports scholarship work here in Maynooth. Over to you, Judith.
Hi there, you're very welcome to our Open Day Sports Scholarship panel discussion. My name is Judith Caffrey and I work in the admissions office at Maynooth University. We're going to talk today about sports scholarships at the university and also the opportunities for participation for the non-sports scholars. I'm joined today by my colleagues from the sports office and also some of our sports scholars currently in the university. Paul Davis is the head of sports. He's our sports officer. Paul, maybe you'd say hi.
Hi, good. Thanks for joining us.
Next up, we have Jenny Duffy. Jenny Duffy is our GAA development officer. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, everyone.
Following on there, we have Barry Fennelly, our golf development officer. Hi, Barry.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Barry. We have Lauren, who is Lauren Kelly, who is our soccer scholar on the team today. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, everyone.
And finally, we have Cathal Duff, who is our rugby scholar. Hi, Cathal.
Hi, Judith. How are you?
Great. So we're going to talk about the sports scholarships. All the information about sports scholarships is on the website in terms of the application process, but we'll run through that a little bit later, and that's what the admissions office does. We look after the applications. So we'll talk about that further on in the session. But just to start off with today, maybe Paul, you could give us an overview of the current situation in terms of sports at the university and facilities wise, and maybe if there are any plans.
Yep, certainly. Maynooth University is very lucky with its location, and we've got an advantage that our sports centre and our sports facilities, for the most part, they're on campus. They're 2 minutes walk away from the North Campus lecture halls and laboratories and all that kind of thing. So very much integrated with the campus community. Our sports centre has 3 magnificent sports halls. We've got a PE teaching classroom, and we've got 3 weights rooms, fitness centre type facilities in the sports centre. And just outside of that, we've a synthetic all-weather floodlit pitch, and beside that again, all of our rugby, GA, soccer pitches, they're winter natural turf pitches that are all floodlit as well. So we're absolutely blessed in terms of facilities. I think we'll find out during these discussions with our programs as well.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Paul. What about yourself then, Jenny? What are the current tiers within, I guess, the GAA program, and any achievements that you'd like to address today within the GAA club?
So the GAA club on campus would be one of the largest clubs on campus. So we'd have about 500 to 600 membership base. The GAA club itself, you'd probably break it into 2 parts. So the actual club and the operation of the 15 teams that we have on campus that compete in 3rd level competition across 4 courts. And then the second part would be the scholarship program. And that's really what my job and my role is, to roll out scholarship program and the administration of the GAA club. In terms of the scholarship program, we run it on a yearly basis. So candidates apply every year. So it's just to make sure everybody's progressing and everybody's progressing in the right manner, and make sure everybody has their supports that they require. I suppose every year you'd have either 50 to 60 scholarship students on the program. So it's a high performance program. We have, as I said, 15 teams on campus, right? So 6 of those teams would be allocated as elite teams. So our scholarship players that are in on campus from first year to postgrad level would play on those and represent those elite teams to Maynooth University in competition. And then we have 8 non-elite teams then as well. So, you know, our teams are for all playing levels. So whatever your playing ability and your playing level is, there's a team there for you, whether you're highly competitive or you know you really want to push yourself that bit further, you want a bit of social participation, and it's there for you. In terms of the successes of the club, we've been very lucky over the last number of years that we have been only going one way. majority of our clubs across all codes in terms of men's football, ladies football, camogie and hurling have been progressing nicely. And over the last number of years, our ladies footballers have won their championship and are now up Division 1. Our camogie team won the All-Ireland competition 2 years ago, so they're now up in Ashburn, and our hurlers won their Division 2 Ryan Cup for twice over the last couple of years. So now we're competing at Fitzgibbon level along with our Sigerson team. And so our Fresher hurling and our Fresher football would be our other elite teams then, which would have most of our scholarship players on. And I suppose you really are, if you're coming in on the scholarship program and you're playing on the elite teams, you're exposed to a very high level standard of play. So you are exposed to an inter-county standard of play, which obviously supports your progression then throughout the program. In terms of the scholarship itself, there's a huge amount of supports. I'll talk about them as we go through the discussion. But yeah.
Thanks, Jenny. That's a great overview. Same question to yourself, Barry. What are the categories within golf and any achievements that you'd like to talk about in recent times?
Sure, Judith. Yeah. Well, just firstly, I mean, golf is a much smaller operation than, let's say, the GAA. Like typically, we would have a squad of 20 players between boys and girls, and it's quite elite in that respect. It's geared at some of the best up and coming golfers in the country. But it's also important to say to anyone interested in golf at Maynooth is that, you know, we do have an active golf club, which you know I would support, and anyone who wants to play competitively can join the club and have access to domestic intervarsity events. So that's just important to say that, because you know, there are quite a few places in golf. It's quite, as I say, it's quite a small operation. But just to go through some of the offerings that we have, we've 3 tiers of scholarship: platinum, gold, and silver. Platinum is geared at a top international player who's represented Ireland at underage level, or perhaps maybe on the actual senior squad coming into Maynooth. So really what we would try and do with that scholarship is give them the best chance to really fulfill their potential, and ultimately we would try and give them some financial benefit with everything else that's in the program. So with a platinum scholarship, they would get support to cover their accommodation on the campus, and also we would give them some funding to play overseas events and represent the university at some of the biggest events in amateur golf worldwide. So that's really where the platinum scholarship comes in. In terms of gold and silver, gold would get all the program supports, and that will be full access to our facilities at Carton House. You know, we're very fortunate to have world-class facilities on the doorstep of the university. So we have Carton House, we have two championship golf courses, we have the Golf Ireland National Academy, which all our players on the program have access to. But just to differentiate between the different offerings, gold would get the facilities and all the program supports, but they wouldn't get the financial supports that, let's say, a platinum scholar would get. Now, in saying that, we would try and support some of our gold players who may be on the cusp of getting on a national team, with some funding to play some of the big overseas events. And then on to silver. Silver will be geared at what we call our development squad players. So those players we feel who have lots and lots of ability and potential, but haven't quite realised that yet. They may have played provincially growing up at underage levels. So we would support those students with a place on the programme, give them access to facilities, give them some programme supports, but they may not get everything. So, you know, I think I'll go through the programme stuff maybe later.
That's a good overview, all right, Barry, of the different categories available, and yeah, the achievements then that you wanted to note.
Yeah, I mean, so golf, as you know, is an individual sport, but as a team, you know, over the years we've had some great achievements. I suppose 2 things come to mind really that we've early on in the program. You know, we won 2 All-Ireland titles as a university club, which was fantastic. So we won the All-Ireland Barton Shield in 2012 and the All-Ireland Senior Cup, 2 of the premier club competitions. And since kind of we won the second one in 2015, I suppose with the help of with Golf Ireland and the RNA, They have really created a more competitive student tour for golfers in Europe. So that's been our focus since 2015. And so, you know, we've been the most represented university in playing in the new European RNA Student Tour Series, which started last year. One of our players was the Order of Merit winner last year, Alan Fahy, which is fantastic. But in terms of elite achievements, you know, we've been very lucky to have. We've had 6 representatives in the last 8 years on the Arnold Palmer Cup, which is basically the leading college golfers in America versus the rest of the world. So that's been a real honor for the program.
Right.
We've had players of that standard to represent us. So that's been huge.
Yeah.
A huge achievement.
Brilliant. Thanks, Barry. That's a lovely overview of the program. Okay, I'll move on to our soccer scholar. That's Lauren. I'm going to read out Lauren's bio here because it's quite long. Lauren is a 4th-year BA Accounting and Finance student, and underage international player. Lauren was capped for Ireland at under 15, under 16, under 17, and under 19 level. So she's had an impressive few years representing Ireland at the World University Games, scoring against Brazil and Russia. She was also on the winning team at the Women's FAI Cup final at the Aviva Stadium last year, scoring 2 goals. So, hi, Lauren. Would you like to give us a little overview of your pathway to Maynooth as a soccer scholar?
Yeah, so I started playing underage football with the boys, and then I was spotted and asked to come play for Maynooth. So I was with Maynooth from the time I was 11 until I was 18. Obviously, I signed with the National League team at 16, where I was kind of exposed then to college football, and it came to, that was kind of the age when I had to kind of start thinking about where to go and what to do. And I'm local enough, so I'm from Kildare myself, so Maynooth was kind of always in the back of my mind. But the link that was between Maynooth and Maynooth was probably what drew me as well. And then I was obviously exposed to the facilities and what Maynooth has to offer to student athletes. From as in relation to like my time in Maynooth, what's been like so good for me, I suppose, was the extra training and the quality of training. You know, we train Tuesdays, Thursdays, usually with clubs, so having the option then to train on a Monday and then Wednesday as well. If we've no game, we would train on a Wednesday as well. As Paul alluded earlier on, the facilities on campus, especially within the last year where we there's floodlights put on the back pitch as well, so we have the option of playing on the grass. Obviously the AstroTurf we have is amazing, and we got so used to playing on the Astro, so it was good to, because you never know what way your matches are going to be, so to have the option to train, especially over the winter months, to be able to still train on the grass as well. Also the gym, and now there's a new gym on campus as well, which will be huge and massive going forward. Well, previously we were going to Selbridge for our strength and conditioning, even though it was quality as well, but to be able to do that on campus now, it's a lot handier as well for students, as not everyone's driving and stuff. Access to the physio as well, training and at matches was huge for us. I know I was out for a year there, my first year of college, so having that at games and at training sessions as well, and still being able to go to training and recover that way as well. So what we need to offer was probably what drew me there. But yeah, I suppose because it's open to all levels as well. You know, anyone who's already not playing Women's National League, there's the B team as well. There's the A team. There's many players on our A team who aren't playing Women's National League, so it's very inclusive. So, you know, from people who do join and end up on the B team, there's always that way to progress to the A team. So, I mean, it's all about progression and all about improving in Maynooth. So in that way, it's great.
Great, thanks, Lauren. Obviously, Barry Prenderville is the soccer development officer at the university, so his contact details are on the website. Cathal then is here today and representing rugby. Cathal also has a long bio, so I'm going to read it out. Cathal is a 4th-year business and management student and is an All-Ireland League player, under 18 Ireland player, Leinster Rugby under 19 and Leinster Rugby under 20 player. So same question to yourself, Cathal, what's been your pathway to Maynooth as a rugby scholar?
Yeah, so I would have played rugby from a young age. Really enjoyed it all the way up through secondary school as well. I got involved in, like you said, playing with some representatives up at Irish and provincial level, and I was leaving school and still wanted to play rugby at a high level, and in the college level as well. So for me, living locally in Maynooth, Maynooth University was always an option for me. I always use rugby as an outlet, really, from the pressures of school and college, and having a little bit of a break from the academic side of things. So there's huge benefits to any aspiring rugby player in the college. You know, you've great access to S&C. You've got a great new gym built on campus recently, and you've got access to any physio support you might need throughout the year. So you've always got a chance to improve, whether it be from an S&C point of view or physical point of view. And the college is quite different in the sense that it's linked with a well-established club already, a community club in Barnhall. So that's the team you'd be playing with if you were a rugby scholar in the university. They have a team for pretty much any level. You know, they've got 5 men's teams, 3 women's teams, a disabilities team, and all the underage teams as well. It's been great to be part of a successful club as of late, really. You know, we got promoted the year before, and we're still looking to get promotion to Division 1 in AIL. So there's lots of guys who are representing the team from a university point of view, as well as guys who are playing with the club all the way up as well. So there's good representation for the guys in the university in our team at the moment, and we're definitely still looking to get that promotion into Division 1 rugby.
Brilliant. Thanks, Cathal. That's great. And Tom McKeown is the Rugby Development Officer, who is also, his details are available on the website as well, so he can be made contact with through there. So from the admissions office point of view, that's what I'm here for, really, to give you an overview as to what you need to do to make an application to a sports scholarship at the university. We awarded about 150 sports scholarships in 2020, so that's across the various sports. And there are scholarships available for sports that we haven't represented today. And Paul maybe can talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. From your point of view, if you are going to apply for a sports scholarship at the university, you would make your application through our website. And the application then is assessed by the various sports development officers, depending on the sport. And then if you're invited for an interview, it typically takes place after the deadline, which is the 1st of April. In the interview, you'd meet admissions office representatives such as myself, plus your sports development officer. And we'll be asking you about the academic side of life, which is why the admissions office is there, and also then obviously your sporting achievements. So that's the process. And then based on how you get on in your interview and your achievements to date, which are in your application, you'll be awarded a scholarship or not. So that's the process. We offer up to 300 points. We offer up to 60 points rather to scholars if they need to bridge any gap in terms of meeting the entry requirements for their degree course. But the entry requirements, such as Irish or English, a third language, they need to be met by the scholar themselves, and 300 points is the minimum points target that you need to achieve to be able to be awarded a scholarship at the university. So that's the admissions office side of things, and all of those details are on the website, as I've already said. So moving on to some of the more, I guess, frequently asked questions when it comes to sports scholarships. One of the, I guess, the most frequently asked ones is about the level or standard required to be offered a scholarship. So I think that's an important question for really everyone on the panel today. For yourself, Jenny, what are those requirements, those minimum entry requirements to be awarded a scholarship?
Yeah, so to be eligible to apply for a GAA scholarship in Maynooth University, a player must have represented their county at minor grade. So that's now under 17 upwards. Now, obviously, they have to illustrate progression and understand how that progression was achieved, okay, to have a clear understanding of where they want to end up over the next number of years and how they want to achieve that progress. But obviously the higher level and standard that a player is playing at, the better opportunity they will have of achieving a sports scholarship. Now, we do have development scholarships if we see potential in someone that maybe they haven't had an opportunity to play minor or to be called up to an under-20 squad, be it that their county is playing at the highest grade. If we see potential in the player, which will be seen in an interview stage and through referencing and things like that, we have awarded scholarships for that too.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, thanks. And yourself, Barry?
Sure, Judith. Yeah. Okay, so with golfers, I mean, everyone thinks of handicap, and handicap is important. So we would look to see that you have a for boys anyway. We would like to see that you have a scratch or +1 handicap. For girls, we'd like to see that you're at at least a 2 or 3 handicap level. Now, you know, handicap is not the sole determining factor. What's more important for us is your track record of achievements and you know, both individually, how have you done at some of the national events at under 18 level, at some of the provincial events at under 18 level. So we really look to see have you played and done really well at those events at under 18, under 16 level. It's also really important you know, that you've had success as a team, and we would look at club, but more importantly for us, it's seeing that you've reached a quite a high level and representing your province, maybe at the interprovincials, and even getting on the national team at under 18 level. So those are the three key things.
Great.
For golf, but just to reiterate, the track, your kind of achievements and your track record in the last 2 to 3 years is the most important.
Very good. Thanks, Barry. How about yourself, Lauren? What do you know about the different standards that there are available within soccer and what you need to have achieved generally?
Yeah, obviously, I'm sure like your previous like achievements, as I said before, there would probably be the main determining factor. But I mean, there's room there for people who aren't necessarily playing Women's National League, which is the equivalent of League of Ireland for women. But I mean, it's so inclusive, and there's obviously we have an A and a B team. And the B team is quite a strong team as well. And they qualified for universities this year, just it didn't take place. But I mean, there's many players on our A team who aren't playing Women's National League. And there's many players who have progressed from the B team. So I suppose the main factor when you're probably applying would be your achievements, what you're playing, like what level you're playing at now. Obviously there's players from all over the country coming, so there's players we've got a few players from Donegal. There's no Women's National League club up anywhere near Donegal. You know, Dublin's probably the closest, so that wouldn't really be a factor there. Like you couldn't have to open up things for them as well. So I suppose, yeah, it would just be like previous achievements and underage achievements and I suppose, yeah, like people's progress as well and what they plan on doing. And, you know, it's open for everyone. So anyone who'd like to apply, and even if it's just for you know, to try out and see if you don't think you're necessarily at that level, I mean, it's worth a try, and you never know, like, what Barry will think or whoever's choosing. But I mean, yeah, open for all levels, and if it is just a case of wanting to join the team and being the B team and then progress, I mean, it can be reviewed, I'm sure. And yeah, so I think it's open for all levels, and obviously, you know, sell yourself well and you know, show off your achievements if you're applying.
Yeah. That's it, isn't it? That's what, Cathal, on your application, you just got to list all of your achievements to date, really. And is there anything that you'd like to add to that? Is there, in terms of the different the standard that you need to have achieved in rugby?
I think in terms of the rugby one, it's open to everyone. You know, you don't need to have represented Leinster or Ireland at any particular level. You know, if you're a schoolboy or playing in the clubs all the way up, it doesn't matter. It is open to everyone. There's plenty of teams to get involved with. You know, we've an under 20s level, a seconds team, and a first team. I think there's 3 women's teams as well. So it's open to everyone. There's levels for everyone to play at. You don't have to have an abundance of representative achievements or anything like that. It is open to everyone. There's a spot for everyone involved, and it doesn't matter how much achievements you've had. You
can make that application.
Yeah,
you can make your application. And Paul, when it comes to sports that aren't represented here today, is there anything that you could say about what we consider from different types of sports?
Yeah, I think the sports that we discussed today, they're just the four sports. You've got the GA, the rugby and soccer, and then our world-class golf program. And really, there are about 30 sports clubs in Maynooth University, and um, there are scholarship sports, these four ones that we discussed today. But you know, you think of all the other sports, and we do take applications from international athletes, people who've represented Ireland on various teams at an underage level in other sports. But unfortunately, we don't have a scholarship bursary program as such. But they can apply for the CAO points concession. So it's a separate application form, and it's called Other Sports CAO Points Concession Application. And they can apply for it under the sports scholarship sort of suite of applications. So we can award that. And the other thing I would like to say about that is, once an international athlete is attending Maynooth University as a student, we do have a fund where we can support them with attendance at national training camps if they're going to represent Ireland, and also if they have international competition expenses. We're very pleased to be involved with them and help them progress, and we're very proud to have them. So we do have that fund, and that's been very helpful for some of our Olympic athletes and world champions, people going for that kind of level.
Very good. Thanks, Paul. Jenny, what would you say are the benefits of the scholarship for the athletes, for the students as they come in?
So in terms of GAA, we're very lucky to have such good support from the Maynooth University to run our program to such a high level. And each year, over the last number of years, it's progressed and it's improved, with the game, because the expectations on a player they're so high level now that we really need to match that. So I view your time as a GAA scholar in Maynooth, it's just another section of your playing pathway where you can actually leapfrog yourself onto the next level. But really and truly, it's down to the individual, and it's about their self-motivation. It's about using the resources at their disposal. And I suppose some of those resources would be, they would be offered a 6-month membership in the Glenroy Leisure Centre, which is a 5-minute walk from campus. The reason we have that is because I suppose we have such a large membership base, and we do have a vast array of scholarship students there. We're lucky to have the teen gym now on campus as well to supplement that. But in the Glenroy, students are exposed to 2 high performance gyms and 3 swimming pools as well for recovery. So on top of that, then we have 3 S&C coaches that work with individual players the minute they come into Maynooth. So we functionally screen them. So we have a fair idea of what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. We sit down with them and we long-term plan with them so that we can then put the necessary mechanisms in place on the basis that we know what their strengths and weaknesses are to meet those targets that they're going to have. We have probably what I think is the most beneficial part of our program is the injury management program, which is, they have access to physio, but we have a drop-in clinic as well. So that's available to all players actually. But in terms of scholarship students, we have a variety of high performance workshops that are ongoing throughout the year. We have a nutritionist that would work individually with students as well. So when you pull all that together, and then there's obviously the offering of financial bursary as well to various different levels. It can be anything from 500 to maybe €2,000 for an undergraduate student, again, depending on the level that they're playing at. But I guess, all of that wrapped around a really good attitude offers a huge opportunity for a player to really meet their long-term goals.
Great, thanks, Jenny. I'm wondering how your 2 student scholars here today, how do you manage to combine your study and your sport? It's quite a challenge, I imagine. Cathal, how do you cope with that balance?
I think you learn how to do it over time as well. So I'm in my 4th year now. I think you get better over time with it. But in general, like I said before, the managers and the team will understand if you need time for an exam or time to study, that's taken into consideration as well. In terms of commitments during the week, a typical week, we train on a Tuesday and a Thursday. You might have a game on a Saturday or Sunday, whichever depending on which team you're playing for, and you might have to get a couple of gym sessions in the week to but it's all down to the individual. Like they might need none, they might need 2 or 3, whatever the case is, just your own personal preference. But again, you've got access to everything. You've got the library at the moment. Now college is online, so it's easier to do from home. It's a bit more remote, so it's always there for you. But yeah, I think over time you get the balance right. You learn over time what's the best way for you. Everyone's different, obviously, as well. They might need more time, might need less time, but it is possible to get the balance right. It's important to do it. You definitely feel it if you're not on top of things, but it is important to get that right. And there's lots of outlets for you to do that, whether it be within the team or in the college. There's definitely opportunity to get the balance right between the two.
Yeah, thanks, Cathal. Do you find that too, Lauren? Are the supports here in the university, are they good? Do they help you out to make that balance?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're very understanding. I think especially Barry, and I suppose that works the same for all the clubs. And they understand like what pressures come with student life, I suppose, but also what comes with like being an athlete as well, and your own personal club training. I know when in first year I was away, I had 2 or 3 trips away with Ireland as well, where you have midterm exams and small exams that you might be missing, but there's always we're always supported in that way, and they're very understanding. And I think like Carl said, you get so used to managing your time. You're like I'm doing it from such a young age, most people are, and you get used to it, and it's just about prioritizing, but also it's sport for us is an outlet as well. So I suppose without it we'd be gone mad. So it is good to have both and to be able to do both, and to be able to be supported to do both as well. It's great, and it's so good that the college gives us that as well.
Great, thanks, Lauren. Barry, how often do your scholars train, or what's the kind of routine there for that group?
Sure, Judith. Yeah, I suppose on a given week we probably have about, I would say, between 10 to kind of 12 hours of training. So typically we would, with the academic, with the students' academic programs, we typically try and do stuff either early morning or late in the afternoon. So that's something that's kind of flexible for some students depending on their degree program. But generally speaking, we would do 3 physical conditioning sessions a week. We'd usually do a Monday, Wednesday, early morning strength and conditioning session. We would do a yoga session usually on a Tuesday evening, and then typically Thursday, Friday is for golf. So, we would play every week competitively as a group. Some of those events would be maybe outside of outside of Carton House. We do have access to Royal Dublin Golf Club, which is a links course, which we try and go to in the winter time. So typically we would play Thursday or Friday, and also have coaching. Coaching is typically every 2 to 3 weeks around tournaments. So kind of when you add all that up, you're probably looking at about 12 hours. And it's important to say as well that, that's kind of structured training. We would be asking our golf scholars to practice different elements of their golf game outside of those times, and they're free to do that. Go up and down to our facilities in Carton to practice themselves.
Great, thanks, Barry. And just finally then, coming to yourself, Paul, when it comes to what's happening in the world at the moment in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, is that having a bearing on current play, but also in terms of students who are looking at making an application for 2021 entry? Do you think that would have a bearing on that?
Yeah, I think it'll be a unique situation this year. Normally, I suppose the different sports, we'd look at their current form, and even the people going, just for the CAO points, the ones where we don't have the development officers, you would always look at their most recent results. It's one thing to say that you were, on the Irish team when you were in 5th year in school, but a lot can happen between 5th year in school and coming to college. But that's the situation that we're in now. So I think it'll be particular to each sport how we deal with it, but we might have to put a bigger emphasis on having some kind of trial or run out to see how people can actually play their sport. And Yeah, I think for the other sports, we'll certainly be in contact with their respective governing bodies to see how committed the athletes still are under these COVID conditions.
Yeah.
So it'll be a
Yes.
challenge. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So our deadline for applications is the 1st of April, and then the interviews would follow after that. And obviously, the results of that then are issued to the students. How long does it typically take? When do students normally find out about whether they've been successful or not? Paul?
I can take that if you like. Yeah, the deadline for applications is 1st of April. Pretty much on the 2nd of April or immediately after that, we set everybody up for interview, or we shortlist the better applicants, and we try to have everybody put through the process as soon as possible after that. But certainly, 2 weeks before the leaving cert, they should have heard whether they have an offer from Maynooth University for a sports scholarship.
Yeah,
That'd
that's
be
great.
the aim. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's concludes our panel for today. Unless do our scholars have any particular nuggets of advice that they'd like to pass on to those that might be applying this year? Lauren, do you have any little bit of advice that you'd like to pass on?
Yeah, I suppose, like I said, just sell yourself well and just list off all your achievements. But like Paul said, I suppose the most recent ones are the most important. And just make sure you go there with a good attitude. I mean, like nothing beats a good attitude and a good work ethic. So, sell yourself well, but also like show and prove that you're willing to progress and that's what you want, and that you're willing to work hard both, academically and with your sport. So just sell yourself well. Just a good attitude goes a long way. Yeah.
That sounds good. Lauren, anything else from you, Cathal?
I think again, like Lauren said there, your work ethic is a big part of it, both on and off the pitch. It's a great way to meet people. If it does happen for you, you make some great friends a part of it. It's great to get involved, and if it doesn't happen, there's lots of other outlets as well. There's loads going on in the college. It's great to get involved in anything. So I'd highly recommend it, and just give it a go.
Thanks, Cathal. That's great. Jenny and Barry, are you all said and done now, or anything else you'd like to add in before we finish?
Yeah, I think Lauren and Cathal really summed it up lovely there, actually, because they've been through their respective programs and they're probably coming out the other side now of really getting the benefit of their high performance programs. So for me, really, I actually thought about this question a bit, and while obviously you'd like players to be really thinking about where they want to be and how they want to get there. These programs they're really, all of the resources are there for you in Maynooth. You will have as much support as you possibly need, both academically and in your sporting, in sporting wise. But really and truly, it's self-driven and it's self-motivation that'll get you to where you want to get to. And when I think of some of the best players, some of the all-stars that have come through our program, male and female, some of the intercounty panelists and now team players, the one thing that strikes me is attitude, and Lauren said it already. It's absolute and utter attitude and work ethic, and it's immersing yourself in a program. It's immersing yourself with the crest that's on your jersey, representing your college, because it's a huge part of your life. You make friends forever, and I think I still have friends from my college days. And to see the players actually, come together and achieve something, whether it is success or it's individual success or collective success, it's something that they'll bring with them forever. So absolutely high, and back yourself all the way.
Give it a lash. Thanks very much, Jenny. Barry, any concluding words?
Yeah, well, I think the guys have really hit the nail on the head there about attitude and work ethic is like as coaches, as managers, we want to see them get the most from the program and really develop as people and as athletes. And I think absolutely attitude and work ethic are two of the key ingredients, and ultimately that will help them get the most out of it. But I think what I would like to say really is having the representative honors and getting a scholarship is just really, it's fantastic, but it's really the first step. And I would say that, you know, even if you're not at that level, you know, I think all of our programs here are very flexible in that, you know, if we see a student coming in who may not have got a top offer or may not have even got on the scholarship program, but has really, you know, took it amongst themselves to develop as an athlete and get better, there's always scope for those students to play their way into the programs. And ultimately, that's what I love to see. You know, we've had some golfers over the years who felt that they may not be at the standard, but ultimately have come out and actually played really well and beat some of our scholars and worked their way on. And I think they then appreciate the offering more. So I think that's just a key point, that the scholarship gets you in the door, but you really have to, and we want to see you get the most out of it. So certainly what the guys have said there is
Yeah,
so true, you know.
that's really nice. Thanks very much, Barry, Jenny, Lauren, Cathal, Paul. Thank you all very much. Just to say that as the website, maynoothuniversity.ie/sports scholarships has the information. We're available on web chat every day. We also have Ask a Student, which is our direct student peer-to-peer chat platform. And we also have all of our social channels as well. And all of the sports here today also have lots of different ways for you to get in touch with them. So thanks very much, and best of luck in your application if you're applying, and if you're going to get involved in sports for enjoyment, we hope you enjoy that too. Thanks very much.